On Global TV News Express, labor unions issued federal government 14 days ultimatum over delayed implementation of adjusted health workers' salary structure. In business, margins external reserves hit $46 billion, highest in 8 years. On the foreign scene, over 640,000 affected as catastrophic floods hit Mozambique. And in sports, Madrid Premier Football League drops 15 places to 91st in world rankings. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365 and Star Times, channels 276. And now the news in details. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government to implement the 2021 report on the adjustment of the consolidated health salary structure. The ultimatum was contained in a statement jointly signed by the TUC Secretary General Nuhu Turu and Acting General Secretary of the NLC Benson Upah in Abuja. The unions described the delay as deliberate injustice and discrimination against health workers, noting that similar adjustment for medical doctors under the consolidated medical salary structure were implemented without hesitation. They warned that failure to act within the ultimatum period could trigger nationwide industrial action, stressing that health workers can no longer tolerate empty promises. The Nigerian military has declared that the reign of terror by notorious bandit kingpin Bello Turji is nearing its end as troops intensify coordinated operations across the Northwest. The Theatre Commander Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fansanyama, Major General Wara Bello Idris, gave the assurance while receiving defense correspondents during an operational tour of the region led by the team leader, Commander Godwin Ebunu. Kikelomo Okeri has the details.
The Theatre Commander Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Fasanyama, Major General Bello Idris says troops under Operation Fasanyama have sustained intelligence-driven offensives, degrading bandit strongholds, cutting off logistics routes, and neutralizing key collaborators in close synergy with other security agencies to attack and apprehend wanted criminals. He disclosed that recent operations have resulted in the recovery of arms and ammunition, destruction of bandit camps, and restoration of free movement along previously threatened routes, significantly weakening the operational capacity of 2G network. The Theatre Commander stressed that the armed forces are not focused on containment, but on the total eradication of terrorist elements, reaffirming the military to resolve to deploy all available manpower and equipment to permanently end insecurity in the region.
Even based on the most current intelligence received, Bello Turji, Gwaska and Karami are currently in confusion and panic. This is because of the intensity of our current operations. They are relocating after every few hours, every few days.
The theatre commander explained that the Northwest Theatre is structured into multiple operational sectors, covering Kaduna, Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Niger, and part of Kebbi State, with troops conducting continuous operations including forest clearance, pursuit of fleeing terrorists, securing supply routes, and targeted rescue mission, including the recent operations at the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Kebbi State. Major General Idris also dismissed reports alleging the release of 17 terrorists, describing them as false and misleading, adding that no such directive exists. He therefore called on the media to remain partner in national security by disseminating verified information, countering misinformation, and strengthening public confidence in the armed forces.
A few days ago, through human intelligence, along with the technology available to us, we were able to arrest 3 major logistics suppliers. Currently, they are with us for further processing.
The theatre commander reaffirmed the armed forces' commitment to professionalism, transparency, and their constitutional responsibility to restore lasting peace and stability in the Northwest across the country. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The Nigerian Army says sustained military pressures has forced bandits out of major communities in Benue State, restoring relative peace to areas once notorious for frequent killings. Commanding Officer COAS Intervened Battalion XI Lieutenant Colonel Donatus Otobo says the battalion has achieved about 80% security control across its area of responsibility since deployment in July 2025. Again, Kikelomo Okeli has the details.
Speaking with defense correspondent on a media tour at the battalion's forward operating base in Tachu local government area of Benue State, Lieutenant Colonel Otobo disclosed that troops encounter over 10 bandit attacks on their first day entering the area, but aggressive patrols, day and night ambushes, and coordinated operation have since neutralized criminal presence in Guma and Yelwata communities. He says Yelwata, once a flashpoint, has remained inaccessible to bandits since troops established dominance, forcing criminal fleeing pressure from Nasarawa state border communities to retreat.
That we dominate this particular ground and the entire Guma local government area with aggressive patrols, with day and night ambushes that have deterred the bandits from coming close.
The commander added that close collaboration with sister units in Nasarawa, as well as strong intelligence sharing with local hunters, community leaders, and farmers, has led to the arrest, disrupted hit and run attacks, and improved early warning across difficult terrains. Lieutenant Colonel Otobo attributed the operational success to sustained logistical welfare and moral support from the Chief of the Army Staff, noting that civilian movement and farming activities have resumed along previously impassable routes.
These have come from these three local governments. So far, the information we get is that because of the COAS Intervention Battalion 11, they are scared of moving in. So what they do now is they send in maybe 2 or 3 bandits, hit the farmers, and then run back. And we are also coming up with plans to see that we lay ambushes along suspected routes where they come in.
The military high command assures residents that troops will sustain pressure until displaced community fully return, reaffirming the Army's commitment to the mandate of Operation Wild Stroke and lasting peace in Benue State. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The federal government says it is threatening security cooperations with the United States to protect lives, promote religious freedom, and improve national security outcomes following a plenary session of the Nigerian-US Joint Working Group held at the Office of the National Security Advisor in Abuja. Information Minister Muhammad Idris said the engagement, co-chaired by NSA Noor Ribadu and U.S. Under-Secretary of State Alison Hooker, has led to intelligence sharing, operational coordination, and renewed U.S. commitment to deliver military equipment, including drones and helicopters. He added that the partnership is already yielding results through intensified operations, justice sector reforms, and improved early warning systems, assuring Nigerians that the government is acting decisively to secure the country. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says registrations for the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination will run from January 26 to February 28 at approved computer-based test centers nationwide. JAMB Registrar Professor Isaac Oloyede said the sale of application documents will begin ahead of registration, while mock exam selection will close on February 16 and direct entry registration will run from March 2nd to April 25. He added that all computer-based test centers will be monitored live from JAMB headquarters, warning that centers not visible during registration risk validation and non-payments. You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. News Express continues after these weather forecasts, plus business and foreign stories, sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello, glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Sunday. Residents of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa environs are expected to experience moderate dust haze. Visibility here is expected to be in the range of 2 to 5 kilometers. If you're in this region and you're sensitive to dust particles, we're advised to please take necessary precaution. To other parts of the north and north central, a sunny and hazy atmosphere is expected. While to the southern region of the country, sunny with few patches of clouds are expected, with possibilities of afternoon and evening thunderstorms in parts of Rivers and Bayelsa states. So if you stay in these areas, keep an umbrella handy. That's the forecast for Sunday. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that short break. And in business news, data released by the Central Bank of Nigeria says that Nigeria's external reserves have crossed the $46 billion mark for the first time in about 8 years. The reserve build-up reflects improved foreign exchange management and steady inflows since the introduction of foreign exchange reforms, strengthening buffers for import cover and currency stability. Analyst says the growth supports the Central Bank of Nigeria's outlook of reaching $51 billion by the end of 2026, alongside signs of a stabilizing exchange rate. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to economic reforms and climate-conscious investments. The president made the statement when he received a delegation from Shell, led by the company's Global Chief Executive Officer Wael Sharon, at the State House in Abuja. Ubong Usoro completes the report.
The meeting comes amid ongoing efforts by the Tinubu administration to attract increased foreign investment into Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
I guarantee you that when I assumed the responsibility of this office, the pledge I made to people of the country and my background is to ensure transparency and to be competitive in every way possible. It's not the same thing as before, that Nigeria can arrogantly stand on a monopolistic leg of saying, oh, we have it, we don't have competition. Well, if I look around my geography, I see Guyana, I see other countries, struggling to attract the same investment from the same basket. So what do I do?
During the engagement, discussions were centered on potential new investments, ongoing diversifying processes, gas development projects, stronger collaboration with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to improve output and strengthen national energy security.
As we look today at opportunities to be able to allocate our capital to multiple different countries, I can tell you, and I'm proud to say, Nigeria stands as one of the ones that is attracting more capital than most. That, Your Excellency, is honestly due to one reason. It is your leadership. It is what you have been able to bring. And that leadership, I would also say, has put many of the people that we are working with, your team, are amongst the best that we are dealing with anywhere in the world, and that professionalism allows us to be able to have the confidence, and I would say our partners as well, to have the confidence to continue to invest.
Mr. Sazan commended Nigeria's growing focus on climate-related investment and reforms, noting the importance of creating a stable, investor-friendly environment for long-term energy development. The meeting also follows previous high-level engagement between the Tinubu's administration and Shell executives, aimed at improving investment bottlenecks and encouraging fresh commitment in exploration, production, and critical infrastructure. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Liquidity in Nigeria's financial markets surged to 2.78 trillion naira as January 23rd, representing a 31.75% increase from the previous week, despite aggressive mop-up efforts by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Analysts attributed the rise to 2.2 trillion naira in treasury bills, maturities of which outweighed liquidity withdrawals from NTB auctions and open market operations. They noted that strong maturity inflows kept system liquidity elevated even as the CBN withdrew over 3 trillion naira through multiple auctions. The International Monetary Fund has urged central banks to trade carefully on interest rate cuts, warning that price stability remains fragile despite modest recoveries in global output and easing inflation in some economies. In its latest World Economic Outlook update, the fund said policymakers must balance growth support with the risk of reigniting inflation, stressing that a cautious data-driven approach is essential in regions where inflation remains above target. While noting Nigeria's strong growth outlook, the IMF cautioned that sustaining momentum with required disciplined fiscal and monetary policies, strong central bank independence, and transparent decision-making to prevent fiscal pressures from undermining inflation control. And on the foreign scene, catastrophic flooding across Mozambique has affected more than 640,000 people, with authorities confirming that over half of those impacted are in Gaza province, where the regional capital remains submerged. Emergency agencies said thousands have been displaced as shelters struggle to cope. Crops have been destroyed across key agricultural areas, and fears of hunger, cholera, and other waterborne diseases continue to grow. Humanitarian groups and the United Nations warn that children are especially vulnerable as weeks of torrential rain across southern Africa have killed more than 100 people and left Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and South Africa battling one of the region's worst flooding crises in years. Sudan's Social Affairs Minister Suleimana Ishaq Al-Khalifa says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict as sexual violence and other abuses continue with near total impunity. She also warned that the scale of violations against women is among the worst in the world, with armed groups accused of using sexual violence as a weapon of war. Mukhtar Qasim reports.
Sudan's war, now stretching into its third year, has triggered what rights groups describe as a devastating crisis for women and girls. The conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) has killed tens of thousands, displaced millions, and been marked by widespread sexual violence. Speaking to AFP in Port Sudan, Social Affairs Minister Suleimana Ishaq Al-Khalifa said women are routinely targeted during attacks, looting and displacement, with survivors facing abuse across age groups and communities.
The next thing, which is more profound, is the sexual violence using as a weapon of war. It was systematic with the same scenario and different scenarios according to the places, like the same scenario in Jazeera and Khartoum, the same scenario in different scenario in Darfur and all Darfur. Because in Darfur, it's actually accompanying the ethnic cleansing.
The minister said her ministry has documented more than 1,800 cases of rape since the war began, though she warned that the true number is likely far higher due to stigma, fear, and the collapse of state institutions.
And in Khartoum, the girls have been accused of being liberal. Why you are fighting? The next thing, that you are the people who have been marginalizing us, you have taken our resources, and then they accuse them of saying that you are fulul. Fulul, that means the people affiliated to the previous regime.
Investigators say evidence points to coordinated campaign involving mass sexual violence carried out with a sense of total impunity. As fighting continues across Sudan, advocates warn that justice for survivors remain elusive, while the long-term trauma inflicted on women and girls threaten to deepen the country's humanitarian crisis for generations to come. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
Federal immigration offices have shot and killed 37-year-old U.S. citizen and nurse Alex Pretty during an operation in Minneapolis, sparking conflicts, accounts from state and federal authorities. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said agents fired decisive shots after Pretty reacted violently, while Minnesota Governor Tom Walz dismissed the federal account as false. The killing has triggered protests in the city, with President Donald Trump accusing local leaders of inciting unrest. And in sports, the Nigerian Premier Football League has dropped 15 places to 91st in the latest International Federation of Football history and statistics World League ranking for 2025. The league accumulated 171.75 points, falling outside the global top 90 and highlighting declining competitiveness compared to other domestic leagues worldwide. Despite the drop, Nigeria still ranked 12th in African under CAF's 5-year ranking system, allowing two teams to compete in continental club tournaments. Rivers United secured their first point of the 2025-2026 CAF Champions League group stage after a goalless draw with Zambia's Power Dynamos in Ndola. The result leaves both sides with 1 point from the 3 matches, completing their chances of reaching the quarterfinals but keeping qualification hopes alive. Rivers United will next face Power Dynamos and Pyramid FC in crucial return fixtures as they seek to revive their continental campaign. A senior German Football Association official said discussions should begin on a possible boycott of the 2026 FIFA World Cup following recent actions by United States President Donald Trump. DFB Vice President Oke Golit cited rising diplomatic tensions after Trump's comments on Greenland and tariff threats against European nations, including Germany, while France has ruled out a boycott for now, and Denmark remains cautious. The comments signal growing unease among European football authorities. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. Global TV News Express, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have issued a 14-day ultimatum to federal government to implement the 2021 reports on the adjustment of the consolidated health salary structure. In business, data released by the Central Bank of Nigeria says Nigerians' external reserves have crossed the $46 billion mark for the first time in about 8 years. On the foreign scene, catastrophic flooding across Mozambique has affected more than 640,000 people, with authorities confirming that over half of those impacted are Gaza province, where the regional capital remains submerged. And in sports, the Nigerian Premier Football League has dropped 15 places to 91st in the latest International Federation of Football history and statistic World League ranking for 2025. And that's it on News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using that Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.